everyone. Welcome to my Zoom room. This is where I do most of my interviews. I'm kind of excited today because Zoom enables me, as you know, to interview people no matter where they are. Now, I believe my guest is in Pennsylvania, but I'll find out for sure. He's a lot of things. He's a teacher and an actor. He's written and directed a play, I believe. Time to find out more. Ladies and gentlemen, Doug Wallace. Welcome to the show, Doug.
Hi, thank you. Thank you.
I'm really anxious to talk to you about all the things you've done. It's really exciting. So,
Yeah.
what came first, the teaching or the acting?
The acting, believe it or not. I played sports all my life, and I went away to college and I was playing sports. And I took an acting class my second half of my sophomore year in college because I thought it would be an easy A. That's how much I knew about acting. I'd never darkened a stage in my life. And I thought, how bad can it be? We're all beginners and we'll all be terrible together in one room. I had no idea that part of the requirement was to help out with the show in the spring, which happened to be Merchant of Venice. Okay. So nothing like being a beginning actor and being in Shakespeare for your first play. And some people got assigned costumes and building sets and scenery. And I was like, that's me. I can do that. Not the costumes, but I can build things and I can paint. But I got 3 parts. One speaking. Yeah, 3 little parts. The one was speaking. It had 2 lines. I was Bassanio's servant, Leonardo. He actually had a name. And then the other 2 were just crowd scenes. I carried a flaming torch, and then I played one of the judges in the trial scene. But I went to the professor after class, and I said, look, I don't really want to be an actor, and I don't really want to be on stage because as a person, I'm pretty shy, and I would really rather not do that. And he said, are you in the habit of telling your other professors what you will and won't do for their classes? And I was like, no. He said, oh, so you don't take acting seriously? And I went, no. Like it's not a thing for me. And so anyway, I had to do that assignment. And I remember that I couldn't sleep the night before. And then as and I kept having that zhong electric feeling that you get in your stomach every time I thought about that night and the show. And I remember walking across the campus toward the theater and thinking, if the theater burned down, wouldn't bother me. And then I thought, my goodness, that's horrible. And I thought, you have 2 lousy lines and a couple other scenes. Like there are people your age that have pages and pages of dialogue. It's, relax. And I go into the locker room and they're laughing. And I'm like, we're about to die. This is, you have pages and pages. What if you forget a line? I was just, I was really all over the place. And I look back on that and I laugh because I think of how far I've come since then. But the thing that was interesting was I was in the wings and I had my script with me with my 2 little lines highlighted. And I finally got to there was that buildup of, oh, they're a page away from my entrance and so forth. And then I put the book down and I walked out on stage and I realized that for the next couple of minutes, I literally knew everything that was going to happen and why. Right. And I thought, well, this is better than real life. I don't have to worry about saying the wrong thing or having people think I'm a jerk or anything like that. And I came off the stage with that same feeling like you finally jumped off the high dive. You can't get up the ladder fast enough. And I said, I said, this is great. I'm going to do whatever it takes to find my way back up here, if only for a little bit of a break from real life. Right. And having that sense of control. And so I worked really hard and I got in shows for the following 2 years. And by the time I realized that you have to be emotionally naked and vulnerable, it was too late. I was already fascinated by the whole storytelling process. You know, it was how you can take words written on a page and make them come alive, and it was fantastic. And I went to national auditions at Penn State, where basically everybody in the audience has jobs. And so you go and you do your couple of monologues and a song, and then hope that they call you back, and then you get hired. And I wound up getting hired at 2 different theaters for that summer and into the fall, and it was fantastic. And I was so green and so new. And once I got hired, I was really worried that I would be working with, you know, these old actors, and they wouldn't trust me on the stage because they'd realize in about 30 seconds that I'd only been acting for, you know, a year or 2,
Right.
and only in college. And I had a room in my schedule, and I went to the English department at Gettysburg College, and I pitched an idea for me to be able to do an independent study. And I did Clarence Darrow's one-man show that Henry Fonda did on Broadway. I did that as my final project. And so that helped me exponentially learn how to act. Also, it's a lot of pressure when you always have the next line, and trying to sustain an audience interest is daunting.
Right.
And so I learned a lot by just doing that, and it gave me some of the confidence that I needed. And then I went back to visit the campus after my contract ended, and some of my friends were showing me the course catalog, and then there's my class now being offered as a regular class with prerequisites, and I felt, wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I had student loans, so I was like, wow. I gave you a class. How long does it take before I then eventually have to send you money? But anyway,
Very good. Yeah.
that was my beginning, and I was an actor for about 13 years. I'm gonna say that I waited a lot of tables, and I did just enough shows to keep me in. And then finally, my wife at the time said, look, you know, we have enough money. Why don't you take the summer off? You've worked all the holidays, you've done all this stuff. And so I did. I took the summer off, and I went down to Camden with Father Doyle. Is an amazing human being, and he has this special way of presenting Jesus' teachings in a way that's not all hellfire and brimstone, but rather this is just, you should live this way. It's a good way to be. And he had protested the Vietnam War and been arrested as part of the Camden 28. And so listening to him was he put his money where his mouth is. And so I went down to daily mass, and we were having coffee after, and he says, so what are you doing? And I said, I'm taking the summer off. He goes, we're putting in a prayer garden with Belgian blocks. Why don't you do that? I said, man, that would be great. Just dirty, hot sunshine, inner city, be perfect. And I looked over at the school, and my mom had always said, oh, you would be a great teacher. And you know, in the business, if you're trying to make it as an actor, or probably a musician, I imagine it's the same thing. If you have a fallback position, you will be beaten, in my opinion, by anybody who has that extra killer instinct, that person that has to get that job. You can't lose your edge. And so I always was like, please stop saying that. This is what I want to pursue. Let it go. And so then I thought, I will go over to the school. I'll get on the substitute list. It's inner city. I'll be terrible. And then I don't ever have to worry about it again. I'm going to go back to acting. That'll be the way to do it. Oh, yeah. So I went over and the principal says, oh, she says, you have to go up to the diocesan office and you have to apply. And I said, oh, that's fine. I just wanted to be on the sub list, but I'm good. And a couple of weeks later, they told me I needed to go over to see the principal in the school. So I go over and I am dirty, dusty, sweaty. I got an old beat up Yankees hat on, and I went in and I had a job interview that I was not even prepared for. And at the end of it, she offered me a 1-year long-term sub position. And I said, that'll be perfect, because for the first time since I graduated from college, I could see paychecks lined up in front of me. And I had a parking spot and I had one address to go to. These are all luxuries for those of us that have all our worldly belongings in a little milk crate. And so that was fantastic. And by October, I loved it, and I loved the kids. And then in February, the teacher decided she wasn't coming back, and I stayed for another 13 years. and I loved it. And I went out to the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair, and I saw them doing Shakespeare outdoors on a replica of the Globe stage. And I thought to myself, man, if I could do that, I could do anything. And I found out that you live there all summer, the professional cast. There's housing there, and it's all summer. They rehearsed 6 weeks. I mean, at the time, it was 6 weeks. And then it was just weekends, August all the way through the end of October. And so I auditioned. And I got in, and that next summer I was doing Shakespeare on that stage. And for a few years I did both. I taught school and I was able to act on the weekend. So it was fun to be able to teach Shakespeare and then turn around and perform Shakespeare. And it was great too, because my students could actually come out and see, because it's only about 2 hours or so from Camden. And just so they could see if I put my money where my mouth is, you know. And then I met my wife out here, and I fell in love, and I moved out here. And something happens apparently when you cross the Delaware River. You lose the ability to teach. So my New Jersey public and private school teaching license was not accepted in Pennsylvania. So I wound up teaching in 2 prisons for 6 years. And then I taught for a few years in a Waldorf school, which is, Waldorf education is incredible. And then I really wanted to go back to Catholic school. And so now I'm at St. Catherine Labouré in Harrisburg. And meanwhile, I've gotten to do a lot more at the Renaissance Fair than just be in the cast. I eventually wound up writing, directing, and acting in the murder mysteries. They are a lot of fun. They're living clue games. It's a 4-course meal, and you get to interact with the cast. And after dessert, everybody gathers in this one room, and you get to grill the suspects. You get to try to trip them up. You can get them to, pit one against the other, and it's just a lot of fun. And of course, as an actor, you really have to be on your toes. And also, the show is sort of inside out. The audience is really in control of the show. You have your characters, and you know your characters really well, and you know the clues that you need to drop. Other than that, though, it's really whatever the audience wants. So you really have to learn to be in the service of the audience. And one show, the audience will just decide that you're the guilty person, and they will ask you all the questions. And another show, it'll be somebody else. And then sometimes it's just spread out. Sometimes people will dwell on one clue. And so you really have to learn how to let go. And so that really helped my craft as well. It gave me a whole new set of colors for my paint box. And now I'm an independent act. I have my own shows at the fair. I get to do one cast show. They they cast me in Shakespeare, so I'm happy about that. So I'll be Leonardo in Much Ado this season, and that is that's that part. I also participated in 2007. I spent a week with the Shakespeare Behind Bars program in Luther Luckett Correctional Center in LaGrange, Kentucky. If you go online, you can find there's a documentary, which is how I found out about it. In 2005, they made the documentary, and I got it out of my library out of curiosity, and I was fascinated by it. So I wrote down Kurt's email, and there was a prison in Camden, and I thought I could start one of those programs in Camden. And I emailed Kurt, and honestly, it was one of the coolest things. Within 5 minutes, he had responded. Wow. And it blew me away. And he's such a great person and a great human being. He does amazing things, and he's so humble. And he said the best thing to do is to come down and spend a week with him and just see how it is. And then and so I did. And then when I went and visited the prison, I was informed that the prison was going to close. So there was no sense in even starting something like that, because by the time we got it up and running, everybody would have been shifted to another prison. So that ended that. I'm still, I still obviously teaching here high school English in 2 prisons. I have our society ignores what goes on in prisons. They want them locked up, and then they don't ever think about how each person spends their time. And also 94% of them in America are going to serve out. How are they going to come back into society? And you want them to come back and be able to be functioning members of society, and not, commit crimes, create more victims, and go back into the system. So the Shakespeare Behind Bars program helps considerably with that. And so I was able to do some Shakespeare with students. It was amazing to watch them take monologues from Othello and turn them into raps. Oh. And when I said to them, I said, you can just record those all you want, because Shakespeare is part of the public domain. And Shakespeare has a cachet about him. And the students were fascinated by the fact that, it's iambic pentameter and the rhythm, and that they could actually just use that. And then they liked the fact that Shakespeare changed the order of words. So then they would, some of them were budding rappers, so they would start working with, in their own vernacular, rearranging word order for interest and for rhyme. And so that was a unexpected byproduct that was fantastic. And now my connection to prison now is I'm on the executive board in Lancaster. We have Compassionate House, and that's for men who have served out. And it's sort of I don't want to call it a halfway house, but for lack of a better word, that's what it is. They live together, and we help them navigate little things like learning how to pay rent and insurance, and getting a driver's license, and applying for a job, and all these things that are, you either don't get to do them, or they're done for you when you're in prison. so you don't have any experience.
Right.
So anyway, that's I guess that's about it. Oh, and yeah. And about a year ago, I joined the Black Youth Helpline out of Toronto, and there we are working to, ultimately our goal is to have zero exclusions. Absolutely, everybody that starts high school winds up with a diploma, because at-risk students, if they don't get a high school diploma, there's a really good chance they're going to wind up in prison, and that's awful. And it's called Black Youth Helpline, but it is not limited to anybody. It's really anybody that wants to take advantage of the program may. And so I'm in the education strategy team for that.
How did you even find out about that?
Well, I have a lot of connections to Canada, and I have a lot of friends in Canada and family and so forth. So there's always been that that blur, if you will. And I think if I recall, I read an article, and that led me to their website, and they, there were volunteer opportunities. So I thought, well, the best way to do this, and I have a background and I have some experience, so I'll just throw my hat in the ring and see how they can use me. And so there are 3 of us now that have been put in charge of a project, so they're using me, and I'm very happy about that.
Okay, so I'm kind of interested, when do you have time for your hobbies?
I have decided, I guess, or it was decided for me, like most of my life, I start out for one thing and I fall over, or I back into another much better thing. And I feel like I'm very fortunate in that I get to do my hobbies for pay. I love teaching school, and I teach middle school, and those students are fantastic and challenging. And I do get tired at the end of the school year, but really and truly, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy summer to be able to do other things.
Yes.
But I could just go right back to school after a 2-week break, because there's nothing like the energy that those students give you. And when their light bulbs go off, and then their ideas, and then you think the lesson's going to go one way and it goes another, positive or negative. And at the end, it's we've done something, and there's nothing quite like that feeling.
Yeah. So are you currently teaching grades 5 to 8? Is that what it is?
I have in the past. This year, we're changing the schedule a little bit. So I'm just grades 7 and 8 this year, and I'm teaching writing and grammar, and I will handle religion with my homeroom class.
Okay.
And but my grade partner, the other grade 8 teacher, who's the literature teacher, she and I are going to do a lot of things together with our classes as far as religion goes. And we team taught for the last 3 years a middle school version of Frankenstein that I edited. For years, I would try to teach Frankenstein because I feel like it's a grade 8 novel. Their mindset is revolutionary. They're questioning on a much deeper level than they've questioned in their lives. And Frankenstein allows you to discuss a myriad of things, and from science to religion to morality to choices. So what would you do, to how we treat people who are different than we are, however you define that. And 3 years ago, I was telling my grade 8 class at St. Catherine's, I said, it stinks. I can't find a decent middle school version of Frankenstein. And the kids are like, well, you've been looking for it for years. Why don't you just write it? So I did. I took Mary Shelley's 1818 version off of Project Gutenberg. And I went through and I edited some of the language. I cut parts out. And then I went back, and with the literature teacher, we came up with a vocabulary list, and I went back and made all of those vocabulary words bolded, and then my wife printed out books, and so the students have these books that they can work with, and it's really exciting. To watch them have these questions and just ponder and get in arguments with each other about what they would do in a situation, or when they start to get into the gray area of morals,
Right.
And how far should science go, and how far can science go, and how do you control it, and if one country outlaws it, is it outlawed for the world or just that country? And so it got into some pretty lively debates, which I love those kind of things.
That's awesome. Actually, it really does. Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like that.
Right.
So
wow, that is so cool. Well, we're going to end it there.
Okay.
But I'm going to encourage you to come back on the show for sure.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, you can let me know what you want to talk about, and I'll be glad to.
Great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just stay with me for a second, just for the audience. That was Doug Wallace you were listening to, and oh my gosh, there's so much wonderful things, and I'm going to include some of the like the Black Youth website, so people can check up on it, and anything else they wanted to do. To include, and thank you everybody for watching this show. I hope you continue to do so, and be nice because it's free, and take care everybody, and peace out.
Thank you.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see.